I love the sun. And you might be thinking, well, yeah, but that comes with the high temperatures. But we have something here in Arizona called air conditioning, and it's gonna be your best friend. Hey friends, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. If you've been looking at different YouTube channels, you might notice a lot of negativity, like don't move to this city unless you can handle these 10 things, or top 5 things you need to worry about when moving to wherever. That's because people love to click on the negative headlines, but you're different. You clicked on this one, and because of that, you are gonna get to hear the top 8 things I love about living in Arizona. So let's get started. So the first thing on my list is diversity. And I mean that in a few different ways. So let's kind of break it down. First of all, diversity in the people who live here of different origins and different cultures. We have the Gila River Indian Reservation on the south side of the greater Phoenix area. So there's just quite a bit of kind of rich Native American history that you'll find here. And then also we have a lot of tech jobs that have come to the valley and are continuing to come to the valley, specifically in Chandler, towards East Mesa and Queen Creek, and then way up in North Phoenix. We're seeing an influx of that, and that is just bringing people from all over the country and world, and so we're getting more diversity in cultures. The trickle-down effect to that is that we also have these restaurants and supermarkets that are catering to these people. So I really enjoy discovering new restaurants, trying new foods, and meeting new people with different backgrounds than myself. There's also a great diversity in the landscape here and the surroundings that you put yourself in. So if you want to live in a real urban, big city feel, of course you can find that in Central Phoenix especially, but there's also plenty of neighborhoods that have a smaller town feel or more Midwestern feel. Greater Phoenix really spreads over a large area of land. So you can kind of find something for anyone. Just make sure you call me so I can help you find the area that is best suited for you. And then also in the greater Phoenix area, you're gonna find lakes. You can go enjoy, fishing, boating, skiing, paddle boarding. And then you can also do your hikes and your mountain biking on a number of different mountains in the greater Phoenix area. And then if you want a whole other climate, you can drive an hour and a half to about 3.5 hours and go up to Sedona or Flagstaff and just get away for cooler temperatures. In the winter, if you want a weekend in the snow, you can go have a weekend in the snow very easily. We even have ski resorts up there, so skiing is something that a lot of people like to do in the winter as well. Let's say you love the beach. It's really not that far of a drive to the California coast. I want to say 6-ish hours to get to the beach. I usually make a drive over there at least once a year and just enjoy being a beach bum for the weekend and then can drive back home. So I feel like there's a lot of diversity in the surroundings that you can get here in Arizona, either right here in the greater Phoenix area or a relatively short drive from where you live. All right, moving on to number 2 on my list. It's really kind of connected to diversity, which I already talked about, and I would say autonomy. Living in Arizona, I just have this sense of autonomy and freedom, and I'm gonna explain that in kind of 3 different realms. So firstly, I'll say the political climate. If you come from a state that really swings one way or the other, maybe you're not on that side of the board, or maybe you're somewhere in the middle and you just aren't that involved. I'm just gonna say here in Arizona, it's pretty moderate and I enjoy that. When I've watched the news and I've seen, riots, protests and things like that, while I'm all for freedom of speech, I'm really happy to live in an area where we haven't seen that kind of behavior and reaction. It seems like people here are more respectful of other people's political beliefs. I think that there's better conversations and it's just kind of friendlier. Also, part of that feeling of freedom and having autonomy is just how business friendly the greater Phoenix area is. You'll find a lot of mom and pop shops and small businesses that just get a lot of community support. In fact, like if you go to downtown Chandler and Gilbert, most of the businesses that you see there are gonna be locally owned. As a matter of fact, in Chandler, I believe all of them are. Me personally, I have started 2 LLCs, a shaved ice business and a music booking business, which I still run. And I've really appreciated that I didn't have to jump through too many hoops to get those businesses started and to run them. Lastly, under the heading of freedom and autonomy, I would say the school system here. Now, Arizona kind of has a bad rap for their rankings, but there's a lot of school choice here actually in Arizona. You can find good public school districts. Let me know what you need, I'll help you out. And private schools, plenty of private schools, religious schools, and charter schools. I've talked about them in my other videos. There's some that are really classically based. There's some that are more STEM based. And then lastly, homeschooling. Arizona is one of the most homeschooling states in all of America. I personally homeschooled my kids and had so much freedom of choice. I got to pick their curriculum. I didn't have to do testing. Now, someone might think that's crazy, but listen, these kids turn out okay if you're doing it right. My 3 all went through college. They have wonderful careers. That's a whole other topic that I'm not going to get into, but just know that here in Arizona, there's a lot of school choice, and I appreciate the freedoms that we have in terms of that. Number 3 on my list, and this is a big one for me personally, is the sunshine. I love the sun. As an asterisk to that, I also protect myself from the sun by wearing sunscreen when I'm going to be out in the sun for any period of time. But even being indoors, I prefer it to be sunny outside and have that light coming in through the window. And you might be thinking, well, yeah, but that comes with the high temperatures. This is true, but we have something here in Arizona called air conditioning, and it's going to be your best friend between like June and September, and you just stay in the air conditioning when it's the afternoon. The great thing though is that even in the summer, you can get up, at daybreak. It's usually pretty nice out actually, and then when the sun goes down, same thing, it cools off. I find that really almost all throughout the entire year, I can be outside for a walk at one point during the day, but in general, I'm just gonna say I love being in the sunshine. I'm glad we don't have a lot of cloudy, rainy days. It affects my mood, and I'm a sun lover. And if you're a sun lover, you're gonna like being in Arizona as well. Another thing I really love is the number of events and activities that you have to choose from when you live here. A couple of the big ones are the Barrett-Jackson car auction every year, and then we have the Phoenix Open golf tournament as well. There's a lot of big ones. Sometimes we have the Super Bowl here. We have major sporting teams. Let's see if I can name them. There's the Phoenix Suns. There is the Phoenix Coyotes. There is the Arizona Cardinals and the Arizona Diamondbacks. And the soccer team is the Phoenix Rising. So we have all of those. And then we also have spring training in the spring. Tons of people flock here every spring to attend games. In addition to that, we have festivals galore. Taco festivals, pizza festivals, Hawaiian festivals, barbecue festivals, just about anything you can imagine. There's gonna be a festival for it at some point in the year. A couple of my personal favorite activities to do in the greater Phoenix area. One that I don't think anyone really talks about is the World Champion Hoop Dance contest that happens every year at the Heard Museum. If you've never heard of hoop dancing, it is a Native American dance and something I wouldn't have thought of going to, but once I did, I wanted to go every year because it's just beautiful and it's kind of part of that Native American heritage that we have here in the Phoenix area. I also really enjoy going to the theater. I like going to Gamage Auditorium at ISU where you can find Broadway shows, but I actually really like going to the Hale Theater in downtown Gilbert, which is a much smaller venue, but great quality of acting, set, costume design, everything. Another great one is the Southwest Shakespeare Company. When I was homeschooling, we went to dozens of these plays. If you think Shakespeare is boring, I did too. But once I learned how to read the synopsis beforehand and kind of have an idea of what was happening in the play, so fun, and they do such a great job with their voice inflections and their acting, so you really know what's going on. Those are just a few of my personal favorites. If you move here to the Phoenix area, I'm sure that whatever you are drawn to, we're gonna have an activity or festival that you wanna go to. Next on my list is orderliness. And let me tell you what I mean by that. I consider myself a bit of a minimalist, or at least I'd like to think so. And Arizona just seems to vibe with that about me. But first of all, the freeway system. It makes sense, it's not overly complicated, and it's clean. I really appreciate that you're not gonna find a lot of trash along the freeways in general. You'll find bushes, you'll find that the weeds are taken care of, and there's even artwork on the walls along a lot of the freeways. So it's just kind of a pleasant drive. You have to use the freeways to get to work. Some of the freeways have those mountain views in the distance, and so I appreciate that. And then in general, just the grid system that you find in most of the cities, and from one suburb to another suburb, it kind of is just a continuation. So it's just really easy to get around from one place to the other without getting lost. Next on my list, something that I have personally enjoyed about living here in the greater Phoenix area is that I think it's easy to find community. I'm gonna share with you just the ones that affected me personally. I would say baseball. I had a baseball community that I was part of when my kids were playing club baseball. And that's another thing that you have to keep in mind. If you have kids that are really into sports here in the greater Phoenix area, there's a lot of opportunity for them to join club teams and compete competitively in their middle schools or their high schools. And we just found a good community there. Also found a good church community of people that, we meet with, every Sunday and, get together at our homes for meals. That's been great. The homeschool community, super active. As a homeschooler, had tons of support, tons of resources. We would get together for field trips. We just really got to know each other well. And then most recently, pickleball. I am part of the pickleball community here in the East Valley, and it is fun and supportive, and there are plenty of courts and there's more being built all the time. But I'm sure maybe these aren't the things that you're interested in, but I am guessing that whatever your bent is and your interests are, you're gonna find a community that you can attach to and really get to know people, feel supported, and just enjoy living here with people who enjoy the same things that you do. The next word on my list is progress. I really like being in a city where I feel like there is growth. There are new communities being built all the time. There are people moving here, probably like yourself, for work or maybe some other reason. People come here to retire, and there's just so many businesses flourishing here. Like I've said, the tech jobs, it's just so business friendly, and it just feels good to not be in a place that's stagnant. I feel like I'm part of something that's growing and developing and improving, and that's just kind of a morale booster. I really enjoy that aspect of the greater Phoenix area. And here's one more bonus item I thought of that I wanted to add to the list, and that is the healthy lifestyle that I have experienced here living in Arizona that maybe when I'm traveling I don't sense as much in other parts of the country. Here in Arizona, we have nice weather a lot of the year, so I think there's quite a bit more biking, hiking, jogging, people like myself who play pickleball as much as possible. We have tons of golf courses, so a lot of people who like to go golfing, swimming, just a lot of that healthy activity that is encouraging. And then also food options, quite a few vegan and vegetarian restaurants, grocery stores like Whole Foods and Sprouts and Trader Joe's that are just everywhere. And it just is an encouragement for me to make healthier lifestyle choices and something else that I enjoy. Okay, and that wraps it up. I hope you enjoyed that bit of positivity. And if you are thinking of making a move to Arizona, make sure you give me a call, send me a text, shoot me an email. I would love to connect with you and help you find your next home in sunny Arizona. And until next time, I will catch you later.